Hello everyone, and welcome to this tutorial on how to paint bone on your Warhammer miniatures. In this video, I'm going to show you how I painted up this Tomb King Spearman's bony body using just 4 Citadel paints. Follow along at home using this really simple method, and hopefully you'll be able to create something just as effective. If you find this tutorial was useful at all, please be sure to let me know in the comments, hit the like button, and subscribe for future tutorials. Right, let's get into it. Okay, so let's go through a list of paints and anything else you'll need to follow it along at home. This is a really straightforward method using all Citadel paints, and the paints you'll need to use are Zandri Dust, Agrax Earthshade, Ushabti Bone, Wraith Bone. Every step of this tutorial is capable of being done using a brush. I would personally recommend a Citadel small layer brush as it is more than capable of completing every step. However, you will see that I swap out for a slightly smaller detail brush later in the video just to do the final highlights. This is a personal preference, you can do the same if you'd like to, but it isn't necessary. Okay, so the first step you'll need to do is to prime your bone. For this step I've used a Zandri Dust rattle can to undercoat the entire mini. You can absolutely use a brush to do this, but in this instance I've opted for the rattle can as it saves time and it provides excellent coverage. I'm using this to undercoat the mini rather than black or grey because the majority of the mini is going to be this colour anyway, so it saves us time and we'll be adding in the shade in the next step. As you can see, a nice even coverage without the need for 2 or more thin coats, eliminating any visible brush strokes at this early stage. On to step 2 now, time to add the shade. For this, we're going to use our bottle of Agrax Earthshade to give the bone a generous all-over covering. Make sure to get the wash into all of the nooks and crannies, such as in between the ribs and in the eye sockets. Now, don't worry too much if it pools in certain areas, because we will be doing some cleanup in the next step. This is really one of those stages where it's best to not think about it too much and really go to town on the mini. Now, if you're using the same brush all the way through, that is absolutely fine, but what I would recommend is after you've finished applying the Earthshade is to make sure you give your brush a really good clean, as sometimes the shade can be a bit unkind to the bristles. Just a good rinse should do. Once that is done, leave around half an hour for the mini to fully dry. Okay, now you should be left with something that looks like this. Now don't worry, the bones do look a little bit char grilled at the moment, but that's okay because we're now going to do some cleanup to give them that bony look again. Okay, on to step 3 now, the cleanup stage. What you want to do now is reopen your Zandri Dust and begin cleaning up those char grilled bones. Making sure to leave the darkest wash colour in the recesses between the bones in places such as the joints, the ribs, eye sockets and the jaw. Don't worry too much about complete coverage, as colour variation showing through is a good thing. I would however try and make sure that all of the raised areas that would naturally catch the light the most are blocked in. This is to prepare us for the next step, which will be adding our first highlights. Okay, once you've completed that, your bone should end up looking something like this. And as you can see, it's really now starting to pop with the wash helping to define the bones through creation of shadows. Now we'll move on to step 4, our first highlights, and for this we'll use our Ushabti bone. For this step you want to focus on adding highlights to the raised areas of the bones, the ones that will catch the light the most. In the case of this Tomb King warrior, it's places like the tops of the skull, shoulders, and outermost part of the rib cage and so on. When applying the highlight you don't want to overload the brush with paint. Try and keep only a small amount that you can apply in a thin, almost translucent coat. You can then build up colour towards the extremities that catch the light. This is to help keep your blend as smooth as possible rather than being blobbed on with too thick paint. Don't worry about taking your time on this stage. Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day. Once that's done, your bone will now have that classic bleached look about it. Great job! This skeleton is really starting to come to life. Or, back to life I should say. You're almost there now, just one more step to go. For step 5, we want to apply our final highlights. This is essentially a repeat of step 4, but using Wraith Bone to pick out the most raised part of the bones. I've chosen to use Wraith Bone rather than a pure white, as I try to avoid pure white highlights where I can, unless the context requires it. This is because pure white isn't always realistic, and it can make your highlights look a little bit cartoonish. Unless of course that's what you're going for. I always find an off-white works much better. Remember, same as step 4, don't overload your brush, try and keep it nice and thin and controlled at the edges and the tops of the bones to really sell the effect. And there you have it, really simple yet effective looking bone in next to no time. I've gone ahead and painted the spear and given old Boney a shield to finish off the mini, and I'm sure you'll agree the finished article looks great. Hopefully you were able to follow along at home and produce a similar result. Please be sure to let me know in the comments and like the video if you found this tutorial useful. Equally, dislike the video if you didn't, but make sure to subscribe either way, as there might be another tutorial from me that can help you with your painting. You can follow my hobby and other painting projects over on Instagram at richm_paints. Thanks for watching, see you next time.